Wisconsin Public Service SolarWise for Schools and the Center for Renewable Energy Advanced Technological Education present School Energy Management Basics. This material is based upon work supported by the National Science Foundation Award Number 2000714. Any opinions, findings, and conclusions or recommendations expressed in this material are those of the author and do not necessarily reflect the views of the National Science Foundation. In this presentation, you'll see a type of commercial electricity demand rate applied to energy use data from a real Wisconsin high school. The school is large enough to have a type of commercial demand rate applied to it. Demand rates are usually applied to large electricity users. Of course, large users of electricity typically occupy large buildings. Usually, demand rates fall into one of two categories, commercial or industrial. Within those categories, there may be several demand rate schedules. Your school may be different, and it might be paying for its electricity differently. However, demand rates all follow the same principles, and if you're going to understand energy use in the so-called real world, it's important to learn about them. Please consult the Summer 2023 Electric Demand and Use Rates handout that looks like this. This part of the graph refers to demand charges, the amount of electric power we demand from the electricity grid at any given moment. You might think of this as the total kilowatts, kW, of electric power we need to flow through the wires to serve our needs at any given moment. This part of the graph refers to use charges, the quantity of electric energy we use each hour of the day. The electric energy we use is expressed in kilowatt hours, kWh. We pay for our at-home electricity use in units of kWh. The customer demand charge uses the maximum kilowatts of electricity that flowed through our wires at any given moment from the last 12 months. That number times $2.40 is our customer demand charge. The customer demand charge forces us to keep our annual peak demand within the limits of our transformer to provide electricity to the building. The system demand charge uses the maximum kilowatts of electricity that flowed through our wires at any given moment during just the last month. That number times $18.45 is our system demand charge. The system demand charge forces us to keep our electrical demand down during the time each day when customers are requiring the most electricity from WPS. In so doing, we help keep our electrical use within the limits of WPS to provide electricity to the regional electrical grid. In a similar way, we pay more for the quantity of electricity we use during on-peak versus off-peak hours. Paying for the quantity of energy we use in this way discourages us from using electricity when the overall demand for it is the most difficult for WPS to supply. And it encourages us to use what we need when it is the easiest for WPS to supply. Let's apply this to an actual energy bill from a real Wisconsin high school. The school used a quantity of 91,000 kilowatt hours of electricity during on-peak hours. The school used a quantity of 79,000 kilowatt hours of electricity during off-peak hours. They demanded 815 kilowatts of electricity on July 6, 2023 at 2:30 p.m. That was the moment of highest demand in the previous 12 months. They demanded 800 kilowatts of electricity on September 8, 2023 at 1:15 p.m. That was the moment of highest demand during the month of September. Beyond electrical energy, they used 833 therms of natural gas. There are a few other charges and credits, but this is the main part of the energy bill for that school from September 2023. So altogether, their energy bill for September 2023 was $29,149.40. All of the different charges and rates on the bill may be confusing, can seem arbitrary, or may even be perceived as unfair by some people. However, they encourage and force energy conservation and efficiency, especially at times when it is very necessary. In the end, this school almost always pays less for their energy than they would if they paid the same way we pay for our residential energy. Winter, October through May 2023 electric demand and use rates. For most of the school year, they are actually on winter rates that work like this. The time schedule is different and the system demand charge is lower, but the concepts behind charging for demand and use are the same. Let's apply the winter rates to an actual energy bill from the same high school as before. Again, there are other charges and credits, but the main part of the energy bill for that school from February 2023 was $55,032.51. Looking at the 2 months side by side, each month they pay a lot of money, burn a lot of coal and natural gas, and put a lot of emissions into the air. So, what can they do? What can we do? Always look for ways to reduce your use of energy. We are all energy managers, and the energy that costs the least and pollutes the least is the energy we never use. For example, always turn off classroom lights when no one is in the room. It's a myth that lights use energy to warm up. Turn off desktop computers at the end of each use, and especially at the end of the day. Refrigerators should be cleaned out and unplugged at the end of the school year. Know the on-peak and off-peak hours. If you can do it, find ways to use electricity during the off-peak hours rather than the on-peak hours. Remember that for most of the school year, October through May, we have off-peak hours with no monthly peak demand charge from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. during the school day. Understand that many energy-consuming items throughout the building are regulated by computer to keep costs down. Hallways may have reduced illumination during periods when few people would be expected to use them. Space heating and especially cooling are set to reduce costs. Be understanding of cost-saving and energy-saving measures like these. One of the most important things to do is to keep classroom doors shut. A closed classroom door provides a barrier that keeps conditioned, heated or cooled air in the room. When a classroom door is open and then an outside door is opened, conditioned air rushes out of the building. Extra heating or air conditioning is then required to restore building climate. Finally, learn about and employ other good ways to save energy. In doing so, we all fulfill a role in being responsible stewards of taxpayer money, we save natural resources from being consumed, and we save emissions from entering the air. We also set a great example for others, one they will take to heart a lot more readily than when we just talk about conserving energy. This has been School Energy Management Basics, a production of Wisconsin Public Service, SolarWise for Schools, and the Center for Renewable Energy Advanced Technological Education.